Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna pahi mam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava Rama. Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava, Krishna Kesava pahi mam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhagavan Shri Krishna ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we were asked to come and read Krishna book. Prabhupada wanted us to read Krishna book before we go to sleep. Take your milk at night and go to sleep. So Krishna's bedtime stories. Actually, many temples around the world, they read Krishna book when the deities are taking rest. Also in Mayapur we are doing. We have quite a lot of mosquitoes here. Big size. Anyway, so I guess we'll begin from the first chapter of Krishna book. It's called The Event of Lord Krishna. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Janan Janan Shalakyo Takshuran Militandina Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chapter 1, the event of Lord Krishna. Once, the world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense forces of different kings, who were actually demons, but were posing themselves as the royal order. At that time, the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumni, went to see Lord Brahma to tell of her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi assumed the shape of a cow and presented herself before Lord Brahma with tears in her eyes. She was bereaved and was weeping just to invoke the Lord's compassion. She related the calamitous position on the earth, and after hearing this, Lord Brahma became very much aggrieved, and he at once started for the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu resides. Lord Brahma and Bhumni also followed. Arriving at the shore of the milk ocean, Lord Brahma began to pacify Lord Vishnu, who had formerly saved the earthly planet by assuming the shape of a transcendental form of a boar. In the Vedic Mantras, there are particular types of prayers called the Purusha Sukta. Generally, the demigods offer their obeisances unto Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by chanting this Purusha Sukta mantra. The very famous mantra, we use it also in deity worship. Om Sahasra Srirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sharbhuming Vishato Jatishtata Shangulam. So that goes on in the spiritual world. And the demigods are using these mantras to please the Lord. Generally, the demigods offer their obeisances unto Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by chanting the Purusha Sukta mantras. It is understood herein that the predominating deity of every planet can see the Supreme Lord of this universe, Brahma, whenever there is some disturbances on this planet. And Brahma can approach the Supreme Lord Vishnu, not by seeing him directly, but by standing on the shore of the ocean of milk. There is a planet within this universe called Shweta-dipa, and on that planet is an ocean of milk. It is understood from various Vedic literatures that just there is an ocean of salt water on this planet, there are various kinds of oceans on other planets. Somewhere there is an ocean of milk, somewhere there is an ocean of oil, and somewhere there are oceans of liquor and many other types of liquid. The Purusha Sukta is the standard prayer which the demigods recite to appease the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kiradakai Vishnu, because he is lying on the ocean of milk, he is called Kiradakai Vishnu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead through whom all the incarnations within this universe appear. Kir, we know what kir is boiled down milk, so Kirodaka, an ocean of milk, milk ocean. After the demigods offered the Purusha Sukta prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they apparently heard no response. Then Lord Brahma personally sat in meditation, and there was a message transmission from Lord Vishnu to Brahma. Brahma then broadcast that message to the demigods. This is a system of receiving Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge is received first by Brahma from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the heart. As stated in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Teni Brahma Hridayadi Kavaye. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was transmitted to Lord Brahma through the heart. Here also, in the same way, only Brahma could understand the message transmitted by Lord Vishnu, and he broadcast that to the demigods for their immediate action. The message was this: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he would appear on the earth very soon, along with his supreme powerful potencies. And as long as he remained on the earth, planet, to execute his mission of annihilating the demons and establishing the devotees, the demigods should always remain there to assist him. They should all immediately take birth in the family of the Jadu dynasty, wherein the Lord will also appear in due course of time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, will personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Before his appearance, all the demigods, along with their wives, should appear in different pious families in the world just to assist the Lord in executing his mission. The exact words used here is Tat Priyartam, which means the demigods should appear on earth in order to please the Lord. In other words, any living entity who lives only to satisfy the Lord is a demigod. The demigods were further informed that the plenary portion of Lord Krishna, Ananta, who is maintaining the universal planets, by extending his millions of hoods, would also appear on earth before Lord Krishna's appearance. They were also informed that the external potency of Vishnu, Maya, with whom all the conditioned souls are enamored, would also appear by the order of the Supreme Lord, just to execute his purpose. After instructing and pacifying all the demigods, as well as Bhumni, with sweet words, Lord Brahma, the father of all Prajapatis, or progenitors of the universal population, departed for his abode. This is the highest material planet called Brahmaloka. The leaders of the Jadu dynasty, King Surya Sen, was ruling over the country known as Mathura, wherein lies the city of Mathura, as well as the district known as Suryasena, which was named after him. On account of the rule of King Suryasena, Mathura became the capital city of the kings of the Jadus. Mathura was also made the capital of the kings of the Jadu dynasty because the Jadus were a very pious family and knew that Mathura is the place where Lord Sri Krishna lives eternally, just as he also lives in Dwaraka. Once upon a time, Vasudeva, the son of Suryasena, just after marrying Devaki, was going home on his chariot with his newly wedded wife. The father of Devaki was known as Devaka. He had contributed a sufficient dowry because he was very affectionate towards his daughter. He had contributed hundreds of chariots completely bedecked with gold equipment. And at that time, Kamsa, the son of Ugrasena, in order to please his sister Devaki, had voluntarily taken the reins of the horses of Vasudeva's chariot and was driving. According to the custom of the Vedic civilization, when a girl is married, the brother takes the sister to the brother-in-law to their home. According to the custom of the Vedic civilization, when a girl is married, the brother takes the sister and brother-in-law to their home. Because of the newly married girl, she may feel too much separation from her father's family. The brother goes with her until she reaches her father-in-law's house. The full dowry contributed by Devaki was as follows. 400 elephants fully decorated with golden garlands, 15,000 decorated horses, 1,800 chariots. He also arranged for the marriage. He also arranged for 200 beautiful girls to follow his daughter. The Kshatriya system of marriage is still current in India, indicates that when the Kshatriya is married, a few dozen of the wife's young girlfriends, in addition to the bride, go to the house of the king. The followers of the queen are called maidservants, but actually they act as friends of the queen. This practice is still prevalent from time immemorial, traceable at least to the time before the advent of Lord Krishna, 5,000 years ago. So Vasudeva brought home another 200 beautiful girls along with his wife Devaki. While the bride and bridegroom were passing along on the chariot, there were different kinds of musical instruments being played to indicate the auspicious moment. They were conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums. Combined together, they were vibrating a nice concert. The procession was passing very pleasingly, and Kamsa was driving the chariot, when suddenly there was a miraculous sound vibrating from the sky, which especially announced to King Kamsa, "Kamsa, you are such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister and your brother-in-law, but you do not know that the 8th child of this sister will kill you." Kamsa, the son of Ugrasena of the Bhoga dynasty, it is said that Kamsa was the most demoniac of all the Bhoga dynasty kings. Immediately after hearing the prophecy from the sky, he caught hold of Devaki's hair and was just about to kill her with his sword. Vasudeva was astonished at Kamsa's behavior, and in order to pacify the cruel, shameless brother-in-law, he began to speak as follows, with great reason and evidence. He said, "My dear brother-in-law, Kamsa, you are now the most famous king of the Bhoja dynasty, and people know that you are the greatest warrior and a valiant king. How is it you are so infuriated that you are prepared to kill a woman who is your own sister at the auspicious time of their marriage? Why should you be so much afraid of death? Death is already born along with birth. From the very day you took your birth, you began to die. Suppose you are 25 years old, that means you have already died 25 years. Every moment, every second you are dying. Why then should you be so much afraid of death? Final death is inevitable. You may die either today or 100 years, but you cannot avoid death. Why should you be so much afraid? Actually, death means annihilation of the present body. As soon as the present body stops functioning and mixes with the 5 elements of material nature, the living entities within the body accepts another body according to his present action and reaction. It is just like when a man walks on the street and puts forward his foot, and when he is confident that his foot is situated on the ground soundly, he lifts the other foot. In this way, one after another, the bodies change and the soul transmigrates. See how the plant worms change from one twig to another so carefully. Similarly, the living entity changes his body as soon as the higher authorities decide on his next body. As long as the living entity is conditioned within the material world, he must take material bodies one after another. His next particular body is offered by the laws of nature according to the actions and reactions of this life. Here, Vasudeva is giving an example of how the living entity transmigrates from one body to another. Just how the plantworm, the maggot on the tree, is climbing up the trees. He puts one set of legs in front. When that's in front, he lifts the other back legs. In this way, the caterpillar moves. First the front legs, brings up the back legs, again the front legs. So similarly, the soul, when the body is prepared, he moves into that body, and when the body is time for it to finish, he steps out of that body. But already the next body has been arranged by Maya Devi, and he just steps into a new body. The luminous planets, like the sun, moon, and stars, reflect themselves in different types of reservoirs of water, oil, or ghee. The reflection moves according to the movement of the reservoir. The reflection of the moon is on the water, and the moving water makes the moon appear to be moving, but actually the moon is not moving. Similarly, by mental concoction, the living entity attains different kinds of bodies, although actually he has no connection with such bodies. But on account of illusion, being enchanted by the influence of Maya, the living entity thinks that he belongs to a particular type of body. That is the way of conditional life. Suppose the living entity is now a human formal body. He thinks he belongs to the human community, or a particular country, or a particular place. He identifies himself in that way and unnecessarily prepares another body, which is not required by him. Such desires and mental concoctions are the cause of different types of bodies. The covering influence of material nature is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in whatever body he gets, and he identifies with that body with great pleasure. Therefore, I beg to request you not to be overwhelmed by the dictation of your mind and body. Vasudeva thus requested Kamsa not to be envious of his newly married sister. One should not be envious of anyone, because envy is the cause of fear, both in this world and in the next. When one is before Yamaraj, the Lord of punishment after death, one should not be envious of anyone, because envy is the cause of fear both in this world and in the next, when one is before Yamaraj, the Lord of punishment of death, after death. Vasudeva appealed to Kamsa on behalf of Devaki, stating that she was his younger sister. He also appealed at an auspicious moment, at the time of the marriage. A younger sister or brother is supposed to be protected by one's child. The position is overall so delicate, Vasudeva reasoned, that if you kill her, it will go against your high reputation. In this way, Vasudeva tried to pacify Kamsa by good instruction, as well as by philosophical discrimination. But Kamsa was not to be pacified, because his association was demoniac. Because of his demoniac association, he was a demon, although born in a very high royal family. A demon never cares for good instructions. He is just like a determined thief. No one can give him any moral instruction, or one can give him moral instruction, but he will not be effective. Similarly, those who are demoniac or atheistic by nature can hardly assimilate any good instruction, however authorized it may be. That is the difference between the demigod and the demon. Those who can accept the good instructions and try to live their lives in that way are called demigods. And those who are unable to take such good instructions are called demons. Failing his attempts to pacify Kamsa, Vasudeva wondered how he could protect his wife, Devaki. When there is imminent danger, an intelligent person should try to avoid the dangerous position as far as possible. But if, in spite of endeavoring by all intelligence, one fails to avoid the dangerous position, then there is no fault on his part. One should try his best to execute his duties, but if the attempt fails, he is not at fault. Vasudeva thought of his wife as follows: for the present, let me save the life of Devaki. Then later, if there are children, I shall see how to save them. He further thought, if in the future I get a child who can kill Kamsa, just as Kamsa is thinking, then both Devaki and the child will be saved, because the law of providence is inconceivable. But now, some way or other, let me just save the life of Devaki. There is no certainty of how long a living entity contacts a certain type of body, just as there is no certainty of how a blazing fire comes into contact with a certain type of wood in the forest. When there is a forest fire, it is experienced that the blazing fire sometimes leaps over one tree and catches another one by its influence of the wind. Similarly, a living entity may be very careful in the matter of executing his duties, but it is still very difficult for him to know what type of body he is going to get in the next life. Maharaj Bharat was very faithfully executing the duties of self-realization, but by chance he developed temporary affection for a deer, and in his next life he had to accept the body of a deer. Vasudeva, after deliberating on how to save his wife, began to speak to Krishna with great respect. Although Kamsa was a most sinful man, sometimes it happens that the most virtuous person like Vasudeva has to flatter a person like Kamsa, a most vicious person. That is the way of all diplomatic transactions. Although Vasudeva was deeply aggrieved, he smiled outwardly and addressed the shameless Kamsa in that way, because he was so atrocious. Vasudeva said to Kamsa, "My dear brother-in-law, please consider that you have no danger from your sister. You are awaiting some danger because you have heard a prophetic voice in the sky, but the danger is to come from the son of your sister, who are not present yet. And who knows, there may be or may not be any sons in the future. Considering all this, you are safe at present, nor is there cause of fear from your sister. If there are any sons born of her, I promise I shall present them to you for any necessary action." Kamsa knew the value of Vasudeva's word of honor and was convinced by his argument. For the time being, he desisted from the heinous killing of his sister. Thus Vasudeva was pleased and praised the decision of Kamsa. In this way he returned to his home. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Just finish the chapter. No, it's two more pages. Okay, sure. Each year thereafter, in the course of time, Devaki gave birth to a child. Thus she gave birth to 8 male children, as well as 1 daughter. When the first son was born, Vasudeva kept his word of honor and immediately brought the child before Kamsa. It is said that Vasudeva was such an elevated and famous for his word of honor, and he wanted to maintain his fame. Although it is very painful for Vasudeva to hand over the newly born child, Kamsa was very glad to receive him. But he became a little compassionate with the behavior of Vasudeva. This event is very exemplary. For a great soul like Vasudeva, there is nothing considered to be painful in the course of discharging one's duty. A learned person like Vasudeva carries his routine duties without hesitation. On the other hand, a demon like Kamsa never hesitates in committing any abominable action. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person can tolerate all kinds of miserable conditions of life. A learned man can discharge his duties without waiting favorable circumstances. And a heinous person like Kamsa can act in any way sinful, and a devotee, he can sacrifice everything to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kamsa became satisfied by the actions of Vasudeva. He was surprised to see Vasudeva keeping his promise, and being compassionate upon him and pleased, he began to speak as follows. My dear Vasudeva, you need not present this child to me. I am not in danger from this child. I have heard that the 8th child born of you and Devaki will kill me. Why should I accept this child unnecessary? You take him back. When Vasudeva was returning home with his firstborn child, although he was pleased by the behavior of Kamsa, he could not believe in him because he knew that Kamsa was uncontrolled. An atheistic person can be firm in this world, in his word of honor. One who cannot control his senses cannot be steady in his determination. The great politician Chanakya Pandit says, never put your trust in the politician or a woman. Those who are addicted to unrestricted sense gratification can never be truthful, and nor can they be trusted with any faith. At that time, the great sage Narad came to see Kamsa. He was informed of Kamsa's becoming compassionate to Vasudeva and returning his firstborn child. Narad was very eager to accelerate the descent of Lord Krishna as soon as possible. He therefore informed Kamsa that in Vrindavan, personalities like Nanda Maharaj and all the other cowherd men and their wives, and on the other side, Vasudeva, his father Suryasena, and all of his relatives born in the family of Vrishni in Jadu dynasty, along with all their friends and well-wishers, were actually demigods. Narad warned Kamsa to be careful of them. Since Kamsa and his friends were advisors, they were all demons. Demons are always afraid of the demigods. After being informed by Narad about the appearance of the demigods in different families, Kamsa at once became very much alarmed. He understood that since the demigods had already appeared, Lord Vishnu must be coming soon. He at once arranged arrested both his brother-in-law Vasudeva and Devaki and put them behind prison bars. Within the prison, shackled in iron chains, Vasudeva and Devaki gave birth to a male child year after year, and Kamsa, thinking each of the babies to be an incarnation of Vishnu, killed them one after another. He was particularly afraid of the 8th child. But after the visit of Narad, he came to the conclusion that any child may be Krishna, and therefore better to kill all the babies who took birth from Devaki and Vasudeva. This action of Kamsa is not very difficult to understand. There are many instances in the history of the world of persons of the royal order who have killed their own father, brother, or whole family and friends for the satisfaction of their ambitions. There is nothing astonishing about this, for the members of the demoniac, greedy royal order can kill anyone for their nefarious ambitions. Kamsa, he was made aware of his previous birth by the grace of Narad. He learned that in his previous birth he had been a demon of the name Kalanimi, and that he had been killed by Vishnu. Having now taken his birth in the Bhoja family, he decided to become the deadly enemy of the Jadu dynasty. Krishna was going to take his birth in that family, and Kamsa was very much afraid that he would be killed by Krishna, just as he had been killed in his last birth. He first of all imprisoned his father, Ugrasena, because he was chief king among the Jadus, Bhojas, and Andaka dynasty. And he also occupied the kingdom of Suryasena, Vasudeva's father, and he declared himself to be king of all such places. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport, first chapter of Krishna, the event of Lord Krishna. Hari Hari Bol, Bhagavan Shri Krishna ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.